The Little Prince, chapters 16 through 20, by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. How are you today, my friend? How are you today? Hope that you're okay, my friend. Oh, deep in my heart, I want to say, hope that you're okay today. I do hope that you're okay today. I have to tell you, quite honestly, that I'm not very, very okay today in general. But what I will tell you is this. Anytime I have the opportunity to spend time with you and beautiful stories, it does make everything just a little bit better and okay. And I hope and trust that the time that you spend with me feels very similarly. So let's spend some more time today with The Little Prince. You'll recall that, let's just start with chapter 16, okay? So then the seventh planet was Earth. The Earth is not just an ordinary planet. One can count there, and remember, this book was written a very long time ago, so these numbers aren't as large as they would be today. 111 kings, 7,000 geographers, 900,000 businessmen, 7,500,000 tipplers, 311 million conceited men, that is to say, about 2 billion grown-ups. To give you an idea of the size of the Earth, I will tell you that before the invention of electricity, it was necessary to maintain, over the whole of 6 continents, a veritable army of 462,511 lamplighters for the street lamps. Seen from a slight distance, that would make a splendid spectacle. The movements of this army would be regulated like those of the ballet in the opera. First would come the turn of the lamplighters of New Zealand and Australia. Having set their lamps alight, these would go off to sleep. Next, the lamplighters of China and Siberia would enter for their steps in the dance, and then they too would be waved back into the wings. After that would come the turn of the lamplighters of Russia and the Indies, then those of Africa and Europe, then those of South America, then those of North America, and never would they make a mistake in the order of their entry upon the stage. It would be magnificent. Only the man who is in charge of the single lamp at the North Pole and his colleague who is responsible for the single lamp at the South Pole, only these two would live free from toil and care. They would be busy twice a year. Chapter 17. When one wishes to play the wit, he sometimes wanders a little from truth. I have not been altogether honest in what I have told you about the lamplighters, and I realize that I run the risk of giving a false idea of our planet to those who do not know it. Men occupy a very small place on the Earth. If the 2 billion inhabitants who people its surface were all to stand upright and somewhat crowded together, as they do for some big public assembly, they could easily be put into one public square 20 miles long and 20 miles wide. All humanity could be piled up on a small Pacific islet. The grown-ups, to be sure, will not believe you when you tell them that. They imagine that they fill a great deal of space. They fancy themselves as important as the baobabs. You should advise them, then, to make their own calculations. They adore figures, and that will please them. But do not waste your time on this extra task. It is unnecessary. You have, I know, confidence in me. When the little prince arrived on Earth, he was very much surprised not to see any people. He was beginning to be afraid he had just come to the wrong planet when a coil of gold, the color of moonlight, flashed across the sand. "Good evening," said the little prince courteously. "Good evening," said the snake. "What planet is this on which I have come down?" asked the little prince. "This is Earth. This is Africa," the snake answered. "Ah, Then there are no people on the earth. This is the desert. There are no people in the desert. The earth is large, said the snake. The little prince sat down on a stone and raised his eyes toward the sky. I wonder, he said, whether the stars are set alight in heaven so that one day each one of us may find his own again. Look at my planet. It is right there above us. But how far away it is. It is beautiful, said the snake. What has brought you here? I have been having some trouble with a flower, said the little prince. Ah, said the snake, and they both went silent. Where are the men? The little prince at last took up the conversation again. It is a little lonely in the desert. It is a little lonely among men, the snake said. The little prince gazed at him for a long time. You're a funny animal, he said at last. You're no thicker than a finger. But I am more powerful than the finger of a king, said the snake. The little prince smiled. Let me show you this illustration before I continue as the little prince smiles. The title of this illustration is, You're a funny animal. You are no thicker than a finger. You can see down here below is the snake, and up here is the star, and of course, our beautiful little prince. And in the background is this lovely watercolor sky that has blues and purples and reds. So anyway, the little prince smiled. You're not very powerful. You haven't any feet. You cannot even travel. I can carry you farther than any ship could take you, said the snake. He twined himself around the little prince's ankle like a golden bracelet. Whomever I touch, I send back to the earth from whence he came, the snake spoke again. But you are innocent and true, and you come from a star. The little prince made no reply. You move me to pity. You are so weak on this earth made of granite, the snake said. I can help you someday. If you grow too homesick for your planet, I can... Oh, I understand you very well. But why do you always speak in riddles? I solve them all, said the snake, and they were both silent. Chapter 18. The little prince crossed the desert and met with only one flower. It was a flower with 3 petals, a flower of no account at all. Would you like to have a look at it? We have quite a few illustrations in this part of the book. Beautiful. Good morning, said the little prince. Good morning, said the flower. Where are the men? The little prince asked politely. The flower had once seen a caravan passing. Men, she echoed. I think there are 6 or 7 of them in existence. I saw them several years ago, but one never knows where to find them. The wind blows them away. They have no roots, and that makes their life very difficult. Goodbye, said the little prince. Goodbye, said the flower. Chapter 19. After that, the little prince climbed a high mountain. Would you like to see that? Whew! This is a beautiful black and white. No color except for black and gray and white. And the little prince there on the very top of that mountain. It almost looks as if the mountain has a mouth. You see that, the mouth? And a nose and very wrinkly eyes. Doesn't it? It almost looks like a face. I think so, anyway. The only mountains he had ever known were the 3 volcanoes, which came up to his knees, and he used the extinct volcano as a footstool. From a mountain as high as this one, he said to himself, I shall be able to see the whole planet at one glance, and all of the people. But he saw nothing, save peaks of rock that were sharpened like needles. Good morning, he said courteously. Good morning, good morning, good morning, answered the echo. Who are you? Said the little prince. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Answered the echo. Be my friends, I am all alone, he said. I am all alone, alone, answered the echo. What a queer planet, he thought. It is altogether dry, and altogether pointed, and altogether harsh and forbidding. And the people have no imagination. They repeat whatever one says to them. On my planet, I had a flower. She was always the first to speak. Chapter 20. But it happened that after walking for a long time through sand and rocks and snow, the little prince at last came upon a road, and all roads lead to the abodes of men. Good morning, he said. He was standing before a garden, all abloom with roses. Good morning, said the roses. The little prince gazed at them. They all looked like his flower. Who are you? He demanded, thunderstruck. We are the roses, the roses said. Let's look at that picture. This illustration is in color with more watercolors. So many beautiful roses. And the little prince with the wind blowing his yellow scarf and his hair is being blown all in that direction. You see that? We are the roses said, and he was overcome with sadness. His flower had told him that she was the only one of her kind in all the universe, and here were 5,000 of them, all alike, in one single garden. She would be very much annoyed, he said to himself. If she should see that, she would cough most dreadfully, and she would pretend that she was dying to avoid being laughed at, and I should be obliged to pretend that I was nursing her back to life, for if I did not do that to humble myself also, she would really allow herself to die. And then he went on with his reflections. I thought that I was rich, with a flower that was unique in all the world. And all I had was a common rose, and 3 volcanoes that came up to my knees, and one of them perhaps extinct forever. That doesn't make me a very great prince. And he lay down in the grass and cried. And we're going to close there, but I want to show you there is an illustration that goes along with, and he laid down in the grass and cried. Feeling very sad now. Coming to have perspective. Do you remember when we read, you are not big? And we talked about the parenthetical phrase and how parentheses can be made to show the relativity of things. And of course, the prince is a very small prince from a very small planet. And as he traveled the universe, he met various people that allowed him to know relatively where he was in the entire universe. Well, he landed on Earth, which is an immense planet in size compared to his. So relatively speaking, he's standing on mountains and thinking he's seeing the whole planet and that his own echo is simply the mountain speaking back to him. And he comes upon a rose bush. He had thought that his 2 small volcanoes and 1 extinct volcano, along with his small, very vain flower, rose, was the only rose in the universe. And he comes to find out there are, at the very least, thousands in one garden on Earth. And so that's his parentheses, so to speak, where he's finding the perspective of the larger universe and feeling perhaps a bit alone. And that's where at the beginning, when we were talking, I let you know that that I was feeling not very okay today. And sometimes not feeling okay, I feel very alone. But then remember, I spend this time with you, and it truly does help me to feel connected to you and that I'm not alone. And so I want to wish you a wonderful weekend and close with the we'll walk hand in hand verse of the melody I've been singing to you. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we'll walk hand in hand someday.